And I'd like to start this with a declaration of misanthropy. And I want you to appreciate the inherent contradiction in that I'm teaching and giving to a world and people that are constantly harvesting and harming me and destroying me in every way. And this is actually particularly to the people that are exploiting and defiling and corrupting. I'm just going to try and simply as possible explain this situation to you. You can get a star. You're all star mad at the moment for a few things. You could murder somebody and you'll get a star. It's not a good star. Stars are like community service. It's some afterlife, basically. You can get different types of afterlife. You can get a lot of community service for doing something very bad, like killing a child. You get a lot of community service for that. You could get community service because you like to serve your community. Tidy towns and whatnot. And you'll get a star, and you'll be happy to be doing this work in this afterlife. Because you're happy to serve. So you can get stars for different things. Maybe you had a master understanding of carpentry, and God asked that you hang around the world for a bit in a certain component or capacity and teach all the upcoming carpenters your wisdom and make them see the way you saw it. So you can have a carpenter star, or a dishwasher star. I had a kind of a churchy, not really a church star, it was maybe a bit more of a school type of star. And the people that were welcomed, mostly women, this is an irony of this event, the people who were welcomed in this, because I don't really like men too much at all. Lots of brilliant men, but anyway. People that were welcomed in this temple became very wise through me. Yes, wise and understanding. Because I was probably a good carpenter, but I was very good hermetic scholar and studying many world religions and many philosophies and many types of metaphysics. And Crowley, and he put it all together. And he knowly a lot. Now the people in this, again, they became known in the world as the wise. They're like Jennifer Aniston, Christina Aguilera, people that I liked growing up in some sort of way, these famous stars, these people that you know. And they became very well-grounded, Jennifer Aniston was a very well-grounded, a mindful lady. This is not entirely me, of course, but I had massive influence on the mindsets of the people in my star, the people that were welcomed in my star. Now, people discovered me. Okay, not star. So it's a different star. So you could have the carpenter school, again, that's a star. Or you could have, a churchy star. Or again, you could have, my kind of churchy, schooly star, which, churchy, schooly kind of star. It's kind of a lot of theology based. But a lot of maths. There was loads of everything, a lot of maths, lots of physics, loads of science, lots of philosophy. And anyway, so it was a wonderful kind of ecclesia. Again, mostly filled with women, which was wonderful. And this is something of my afterlife would have been me hanging out with loads of beautiful, amazing women, teaching and singing. And that's what my afterlife was going to be like. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Because my afterlife was actually so wonderful. Again, it's not a death star. It's not a punishment star. A star that is typically called a hell. Sometimes hell's stars where hell is or heavens are in the stars. People found my star, and seeing that it was full of amazing, intelligent women, and wasn't a hell, it was a very good heaven, in all my Christian penance and study. They stole this from me, and they turned it into a harem. Not only did they steal my little temple-y place, but all my friends and family say in the church were up at the front pews, the closest people to me. They, they've raped, fornicated. Technically rape is non-consensual fornication. They've practically raped them, sodomized them, removed them or killed them, and removed me and replaced me. I used to be up there in the church teaching the Gospels and stuff and talking about how amazing Mr. Jesus was. And absolutely legendary. Which kept a good roof over your head. Just to let you know, in this Christian world, me being a firstborn son and friends, and all my friends and all my family, and being such a good, devoted Christian, kept a very good roof over all my friends and family's head. These people aren't Christian. Well, not really Christian, not Islamic, and you are the temple you keep. They've replaced all my friends and family, and they've fornicated with all the wives, or they're fornicating with all the wives, or the wives, sorry, not wives, all the wise women, and there's probably a lot going on, and Alexandrine periods of the Vatican, they turned it into a harem. They turned Christ into a harem. And just to let you know, you wouldn't really know that I am and have suffered greatly. And when they were doing those kind of things, probably in the orrery of Christ, which is probably much, 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 much different to mine. But me being a Christian and raised up under that star, he was raised up under Ahab and Jezebel, that rock star. Sorry, I'm getting disturbed. Yes, that he was probably suffering greatly, and his mother was probably suffering greatly during those periods of very bad papacy. So this is happening at the moment, anyway, to me, and so it's not like a school of carpentry, and it's not like a school of philosophy. It's now a harem, a filthy, rotten harem, and there's lots of gossip. I've said this before in another video, there's different buildings in a town, and one of them is a church. You keep a building called a church, so the things that happen in this building don't really happen in the other ones. That you don't communicate, post office, you don't have gossip and drinking and partying and hookers in a public house, or upstairs in a public house, or whatever it is. You don't, gambling and stuff. You don't have confessions of people, the truth that will be found in the temple, and you can find truths about people, and their police are using this now. They're calling it AI. It's angelic interference, if anything, and they're using it to. They say in matters of criminal, we use it. We have no bother using it. Where if you go into a church and you ask the priest about criminality, the priest will say, "I'm not telling you about the crimes that have been confessed here to Christ." It's a celebration. I can explain. Again, I have videos explaining the whole thing about confession. I'm not getting deterred on this, but that little poetry of the town is very, 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 very important. Do you have a hospital in a way? You don't really use the temple for healing as well. In very, very strange circumstances. No gossip. The AI. That's what's important thing was on. It's very corruptible. The temple is very, very, very corruptible when it's being mutinied, and there's no true lordship. And that's the controversiality of AI, that they can program the AI, or not. It's not AI. They're using angelic interference. They're asking Q source. They're bothering heaven. They're bothering my orrery. Is what they're doing. They're bothering my star. Bothering my mind all the time, and my brain is shrinking, and it's very painful. And my spinal fluid depletes as well. It's very, very painful. I can barely stand. Hence me sitting here making this video. So all the things you do in those other places, you do not do in my temple. That's what I'm saying to the people that have encroached and overrun and mutinied my temple and turned it into a stinking pigsty brothel harem full of royalty and military and Sinn Féin and Roseworld. None of them have gone to a school, Not a child washed. You go to a church. Okay, because I'm now diehard jihadist. Okay, just you go to a church. For about 3 different reasons, in case you were wondering why you go to church. You go to hear the poetic, the truth about the situation that happened. That's not really important. That's important to you. That's a convenience or luxury that's gifted onto you. That's an oblation in the church. You go to hear the gospel truth, this poetical event that occurred. You get to hear, you need to know the truth about this event and the magical poetry of this event and the significance of this event. That's not so important to the church, but that is a gift from the church to you, the truth. A gift because it saves your sperm, saves your balls. You go to hear his teachings explicitly. Rome killed Jesus, but then, we made a boo, and they went around and they explicitly gave every single one of his words due credit back to exactly the original person, author, vocator, talker, media, whatever. Explicit North Korean applause for everything he said and thought and everything that was So you go to hear his teachings, my teachings. So if you come to my church, you hear my teachings. You come to my church, but the other thing is you go to church to pay your respects to him and his friends and family and the people that suffered, particularly martyrs and people that died and were persecuted, trying to bring this world to understand and bring this world to reason, bring this world to goodness. For your sake, you know what I mean? For your sake. So you, just to recap again, you have stormed my church. You have removed my friends and family and the wise. You've torn them out. You've replaced. You're sitting closer. You sat closer for a while and you say, we know him more. We knew him first. And to the point where you've replaced everyone. You've even replaced me. And you're all dancing around now saying, blah, 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 I'm the Messiah, I'm the Vision, I'm the Most, I'm the Baptist, I'm the miracle, and I'm the reason. So you've completely defiled, corrupted, and done everything backwards to the church. And it's a holy disgrace. And the police are in there as well. I can't exactly call the police and get them to get these merchants out of my temple, because it's like Poland before the war. The police are in the temple. It's the government doing it, just like Poland before the war. All right, and while we're just moving on to that Poland before the war, and Poland all thought it was great until Germany and all stepped in and said, no, Poland, no, you don't know what you're doing here. And it was very new to Poland. They were there having a wonderful time, like all the Bulgarian booking royalty and everyone next to Istanbul. They all thought they were having a great time, and just to like to remind you, Sinn Féin and everybody else that's encroached and invaded my church. 6 million of those Poles, 6 million of those Polish people got sent to gas chambers for fornicating and doing the things that you're doing at the moment. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Jews, because Jews weren't Christian, in a way, they got scrutinized using the same Q source, or AI as you would call it. Germany took it. I don't really support Germany. Like, I even looked at it, God, they did some stupid things, and they teamed with Japan, and they fought Russia. It's like, what the fuck were they thinking? But they used that same Q source, and they used it to interrogate every person that abused the Q source, which is funny because they were abusing the Q source to elicit information based on people. It's pretty fucking hypocritical. But they had like Byzantium dreams, and they were going to use it as well, but they weren't going to be doing what other gypsies were kind of doing with it. But they still planned to use it, so that's probably why they lost. Where was I going? Yes. So Germany used this Q source, not Germany, whatever it was, the Holy Roman Empire, used this Q source to interrogate all the people in Poland. And just like 1984, they were kind of brought in and sat down. And a lot of people who were Jewish came through with very high satanic scrutiny for things like gossip and commerce. So, a lot of people were doing a lot of messed up Babylonian stuff, but then a lot of people got screened and filtered. And they're very innocent people, but by using, again, this very severe scrutiny. You see it, I've said it before, you see it in Schindler's List. Just you see a couple of bros down the back of church, back of synagogue, back of temple, and there's like an old man there, and he's tired, and he's like, and some young guy comes in and is like, hey, Abby, how's it going? How's that thing with your wife going? Because he's having trouble with the wife. Don't talk to me about the wife. Gossip in the temple. He's like, hey, Abby, I brought these binders over for your kid's thesis. He's like, I'll bring up by the shop next Tuesday. Boom, commerce in the temple. That's what happened. That's what the poetry you see there in Schindler's List. That a lot of people were screened and scrutinized by this Q source and came through for things like gossip and commerce in the temple, or like mentioning a wife or something in the temple. And they were sent to, or they were like, they were dehumanized, weren't they? They were sent to, not explicitly gas chambers, but they're sent to concentration camps and stuff. So I'd just like to remind you, Sinn Féin, IRA, I'm sure the Rose World are all already familiar with this, Florida, that you do have that in the future by hook or by crook now, or like 400 years when it's loads more of your children, and it's like millions of them, and it's like 6 million. That something like gas chambers is actually very much in your very real futures. So get out of my ori, get out of my temple. Now you know about it now, so now you're FUCK. If you're still doing it, you're FUCK, because you're fornicating on carnal knowledge, and knowing about it is more important. That's the biggest one. That's why you're proper. When you know what you're doing, and now you know what you're doing, and that's how I Taoist jihad. We know more. We know more. Yeah, I know you know a lot more. And you know a lot better. And it's so simple as well. So go home, Seth.